All right, so my name's Rob Krueger. For those of you that don't know me, we are here to talk about the Instructional Media Studio. I wrote a Thrivent grant a long time ago, and there were funds that were sitting around, and Michael Dorner said, "Hey, Rob, those funds are to be spent, not to sit in an account." And so I had been often trying to figure out how to do math videos better than trying to write with a stylus or any of those kinds of things. And so this opportunity came up and we had enough money to fund it. And so we purchased it. And so it is now in the old Faculty Scholarship Center here down at the end of the hallway. So at the end of the presentation, we can take a trip down there and you can see it and we can show you around a little bit. All right, and so the outline for today is to talk about the Media Studio, to talk about the editing software that I cover, and then I will show you a little bit about the YouTube channel where I post everything. All right, so first of all, it's called a Revolution light board. They have a number of different sizes, a number of different things. It can be portable, it can be on a cart. We decided to get the medium-sized one that would stay in the studio because it just has a bigger writing surface. And it came with 2 screens and a camera, higher level microphone, all of those kinds of things. And so I'll share this PowerPoint out, but there's a link to what it is, and there's a number of tutorials on there. They have a bunch of resources, such as the research that backs up using this, specifically for an online course, how it enhances the course, best practices on how to use the light board. Then they have some videos of people in action. I made my own in-action video for you to enjoy today. What to wear, and I'll talk about that a little bit as I show you the videos. The cleaning guide, they have a number of different templates. There's a couple really cool biology ones where they have a full skeleton that you can utilize. And then the type of markers that we ask you to use. All right, and so this was the setup. And so this is the light board. There's 2 sides. This is actually the newer model. They don't have my model anymore. So the lights look a little bit different. Mine are integrated in. These are setting out on the side. But we get an iPad to direct what's going on. There's 2 screens. Ours are vertical instead of horizontal with the camera in between it. And then there's a backdrop that you will see so that it's a black background. A high-level microphone that sits up here, and then it comes with some of the cleaning supplies and markers and the like. Okay, so again, it is in LTC 203. For those of you that have been around here a long time, that's the old Faculty Scholarship Center. You do need to reserve it now, and so that link gets you there when you if you download the PowerPoint. But you can also go to the Curriculum and Instruction Center down to the Instructional Media Studio, and you click that link and it sends you to the reservation guide, just like students reserve those study carousel or study classrooms. It's that same thing. The reason we did that was every time that I went to use the studio, it was broken because somebody was experimenting with it. And so since we've had this, every time I go, it has worked. So I'm ecstatic about it. Some of our colleagues aren't, but it's you just have to go when there's somebody is down in the library. Now, if you want to do it at midnight, you're out of luck. But they give you the key that you can use, and I'll show you how we get in there. And so I highly support this, again, because of the fact that it works for me now every time. Okay. And so the beauty of it, and that's the part that people were breaking, is there is only one button to hit. It is one button on and one button off. You have to do nothing else. And that was the mistake, because people were trying to turn on or off the iPad. They were trying to do different things. That's not how it's set up. We paid extra for it to be one button. And so you click that one button, and then everything comes on. The TVs, the computer, the light board, everything. And the iPad. On below the one button, this moves the tables up or down. When Michael Tome speaks, he moves it up. When I speak, we move it down, right? And so then there's 3 dimmer switches. There's an inside set of lights, an outside set of lights, and a top set of lights. For the most part, I have all of them straight up or down. When you turn off the lights, that's a decent setting. Now, for some of you, if you wear the wrong color shirt and you're blending into the background, you have to adjust. And then depending on the kind of background you use, right, your white might be too bright or the like. And so we can talk about that when I show you. All right, so like I said, in front of us, there are two screens, and then the camera sits here in between. It also has a PC that's built into it, and we'll show how that all connects up. The bottom one shows what's being recorded. The top one is the studio PC that you can put documents on and then drag those documents down. And I'll show you how I do that to be able to integrate different things. So I generally have a PowerPoint running down here, and then I have my statistics tables or a website or something up there, and then I drag it down, use it, and then I kick it back up. Okay, but this is the part that's being recorded. Okay, and so again, that's for the studio PC, that's what's being recorded, and then the camera is sitting there in between. Okay, so I'm facing the camera and the screens, and the glass board is between us. Okay, so now think about what's happening. I'm writing on it. What do you know about me writing on it and the camera? It's going to be backwards, okay? But because of the modern computer science, it will automatically flip it around. So when it's being recorded, it looks like I'm writing backwards, but it's showing to the audience that it's right way. All right, and then of course, you turn the overhead lights off, okay? It needs to be a dark studio. Okay, and so the microphone is right up there on top, and I'll show you in my video what happens when you walk away from the microphone. Surprise, surprise, it doesn't pick up as well. Again, the 3 dimmer switches, there's an inside set of lights, an outside set of lights. So on this side of the light board, on the other side of the light board, this is all glass, and then there's one on top. Okay, and it depends on how whitewashed you want to be as well, right? If you care about what you look like. And then there is the laptop connects with an HDMI that comes out of here. I haven't found the HDMI cord a few times, and that's because somebody stuffed it underneath for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. And so, but guess what? That hasn't happened since it's been locked down. All right, and then this is the keyboard and the mouse for the actual PC that's built in. And so that's what you deal with this thing up here. And then the iPad right there, and that's how we tell the computer what to record and how to record. And I'll show you how that works. And then the one touch is right here on the side. Okay, so when you walk in, the door is over here. You walk in, there's the one touch, and there are the adjustments for the table and the dimmers. All right, and so then again, this is where you can drag things down. This should have a generic CSP already logged in. Again, it should be with the one touch. It should be automatically hooked up to the network without anybody having to log in. But if you need to log in because you want to use your Google Drive, you need to log in there to get to your access of Google Drive, but then you need to log out. Otherwise, whoever comes here can get into your Google Drive. Okay, so I never do it that way. I have everything on my laptop. And so then I can email myself something or whatever and put it on there. And I'll show you that this folder right here just says Rob stuff because I keep some of the statistical tables and other things that I do when I was making videos. Okay. All right.
Do you ever have any problems with pulling that down to the other screen, or does it just go real easily?
It goes really easily.
I mean, like you just drag it?
You just drag it.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to grab it in the right spot, just like on our laptops, right? When you go from one screen to the other, it's the same concept. Okay, so this is what the what the iPad looks like. Again, never, ever try to shut down the iPad. It screws everything up and it takes the other company a week to get it fixed for us. Okay, so please, I'll show you there's a little black piece of tape that's covering your access to the iPad. Okay, there's a couple people that stick their fingers in there all the time anyway, and it screws everything up. But now, since it's been locked down, we haven't had that problem. So you can overlay something from the studio PC, you can overlay something from your laptop, or you can just have the camera only, or you can just have the screen only, or you can just have the laptop only. So there's a number of things. If you don't want to be in there at all, you can just do one of the screens. Okay, if it's just you on the camera writing on the board, then you choose that one. I, again, always have the laptop in one of those positions because I am going through my PowerPoints that I create for my courses for the different classes. And then I'll show you how I can overlay things in different places. Then this is I believe I point to that is the record button. Okay, and so you have to make sure that that comes on red. Sometimes for me, it takes a couple times, right? And so it automatically starts recording. So then it shows me moving over. So that's where the editing software comes in, right? And so normally, you know, I'll just do a little shake or whatever, right? Countdown, whatever it is, because I'm going to delete that anyway. I noticed when I was trying to rush, well, then everything went crazy. Again, that's what the editing software is. I make lots of mistakes. So then I say, okay, I'm going to start over. And then I kind of wave my arms or whatever. So I remember when I'm scrolling through to clean, oh, my arms are crazy. Okay, that means I want to cut that slice out of the video. Okay, so those are some of the, what I would call best practices that I've learned. Okay, because I used to, okay, stop the video and then start another video. And then I'd have to slice one end and slice the other and put them together. It was much easier to just cut out the middle and have one recording. So those are some of the things that I learned, but I'll show you how to put two of them together. There's transitions, there's all kinds of fun stuff if you get into it. But the beauty is you can go in there, one button, start, hit the record and just record yourself, hit it, stop it, download it, and you're done. It can be that easy. You don't need to. It doesn't have to be crazy if you don't want it to be.
Rob, do you have to choose camera, like you have to click on camera only screen?
You have to click on something. Yep, because otherwise well, I mean, I think camera only will be the default.
Okay. Okay.
That's a good question. I don't remember exactly, but you'll see when you know, and obviously you want to test it a few times, you know, make a short recording and then watch it and see. Okay, good. Other questions? I do fast talking, turns out. I
So
still
Rob,
say that.
the actual recording gets put on a flash drive, is that what you said? Or?
Thank you. He's a plant, everybody. And so, actually, it doesn't come next, it comes soon, but hang on to there. I have a slide for that. Okay.
We agree.
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about.
And so, this is just an example of me here. And so I'm writing on this side. So notice it looks like I'm writing it, right? So that I can see just like I'm writing on a board, but it's reversing it on the other side. And so writing on the back of the glass, it reflects it. And so here again is the mouse and the keyboard for the Studio PC. So if you're adjusting things, and then thank you to my photographer for the little bit of help. Okay. So this is my generic background that I use. I just inlaid the CSP math there. You can make it different colors. You can't really see it well anyway, but the point is I'm just going to write, I want a solid black background, because otherwise you can kind of see the fabric in back. And that's where the lights really have to be adjusted, because it turns green, kind of the green screen effect, right? Never wear a black t-shirt, never wear a green t-shirt, right? If you want to have fun, wear those colors and record yourself. But often, if I'm just going to make a video and not use a PowerPoint, it's good to have some sort of black. And so this is just a one-page PowerPoint that I just hit play, and that's my background.
So if you don't do that and it's just the screen, it's black too, right?
Yeah, the backdrop is black, but because the lights are bouncing off of it, you get you can see the, you know, because it's a curtain, right? So you can see the rolls in it, and it gets fuzzy, the lighting. Okay, so let's see if my video works. Hello, friends. This is Rob, and I'm here to show you some of the things that I use the Revolution light board for to make videos for some of my classes. One of the courses that I have made videos, me and one of our CFP, Scott Grau, a good friend of mine from even my Concordia, Nebraska and University of Nebraska days, we both have been teaching the statistics course for well over 10 years, Scott probably over 20. And so one of the things that when students miss class, it's really hard to have them just read a PowerPoint and figure out what we did. And so we created these videos based on active classroom participation. And of course, now it's been added to the online section of Math 110. And so let me show you how I utilize it. Well, some of you are familiar with the standard normal curve. And so what we want to do is to be able to help students figure out how we utilize the standard normal table given a certain distribution. And so if we have a mean, let's say of 200, and let's say we have a standard deviation of 50, so mu equals 200 and sigma equals 50, we know that we can add and subtract one standard deviation to be able to give us values on the table, so on and so forth. Well, to convert to the standard normal distribution or the z distribution, we need to be able to use the z-score. And so z equals whatever x value we are interested in minus mu all over the standard deviation. Now, I am sure that you are impressed that I can write backwards. Well, the beauty of this board is, obviously, I'm writing normally, but the computer reflects it so it looks like I'm writing normally. And so that's one of the powers. I'm standing behind the glass. I've got two monitors in front of me with the camera in between. And so I can pull things from the top down to the bottom. I have an iPad here that allows me to choose different overlays, and so I can overlay it to the left, and so then use it over here. I can do it and switch it back over to the right, or I can just have it overlay all together, and I can put it wherever that I want. All right? And so, going back to this, let's say we're interested in what the z value is for 250. So we have 250 minus mu, which is 200, all over the standard deviation, which is 50. Okay, I chose one that most of us can do on our heads, perhaps. And so 250 minus 200 is 50. 50 divided by 50. And again, not to confuse people, that isn't a 56. That's actually a 50. And so we get 1. So let's use our table to figure out what the area is that we're going to read at this spot, which is 250. Well, if we pull down our table, notice that the values on our table here are over on the left side of the curve, but we're over here on the right side of our curve. So we have to go to page 2, and so notice how I can just scroll there, right? I can hide myself or not. I'm not too worried about that, depending on how fantastic I look. I look pretty good here in the shadow behind the white anyway. And so now we have to read our table, and so when z equals 1, we go 1.00, and we get 8415. And so this area is 8415. And so what that means, if we were solving a problem, so let's see if I can slide this back out of the way. I can. What that means is if I scored 250 on an exam that had a mean of 200 and had a standard deviation, a typical spread in the data of 50, that I would have scored higher than 84.13% of the people who took that exam. That's an example of a problem that we might solve in our class. All right, so I just wanted to show you a little demonstration. I'll show some other clips, but this is some of the power. We love that we can draw pictures, and so when we're doing a graph, right? This is very hard to do on a computer live, but we can say that we're going to graph the line y equals 2/3 x minus 1. And so that tells us that we have a slope. And so we teach our slopes that that's rise over run. And we're starting when x equals 0, y equals -1. And so the point 0, -1, we rise 2, and we run 3. And so this is the line that we're creating. Okay, and so a couple different examples of how we can utilize the board. This is the iPad. This is the piece of tape, not to remove, not to try to power down the iPad. The CNI Center has been trained by the company to fix any of the problems, so please try not to fix the problems yourself. Ask them, Lee and Sabrina know how to fix this. And so it comes with a little jump drive. You can use your own, but we have noticed that when people use their own, their software is not always compatible. And that's some of the reasons why the iPad goes bad, right? And so that is where we've discovered some of the problems. So you record it right there, and then you have two choices. You can either move it up to the computer USB, and so then that studio, you could move it then to your Google Drive and save it that way. Or what I generally do is I pull it out and notice that it has both the regular USB and the USB-C, and I plug it into my computer and download it. And that's how I put files on the studio PC. I put the files on here, I plug them into there, and then I upload them so that I have that folder. Okay, and so that's how I've showed. So Brian Evans has his students in the marketing do a presentation on here. And so I have him put the presentations on this, upload it to the computer so that they're on the computer. And then when each of the students come in, their presentation's there, they drag it down, boom, and they go. Okay, so it's really easy to do it that way. Okay, so keep fingers off. Okay, so now again, the files go onto the USB-C. And so each will create two files. I don't know, Susan, if you can tell us why a ._ file would be created. Do you even know what that? I've never heard of that. But it creates these two files. This one is worthless. Go ahead and delete it. This is the actual file that is saved. Now, if you stop and start, it'll save it as Lightboard Video 1, Lightboard Video 2, Lightboard Video 3, and then you can download them all. And then, of course, I rename them with the date or whatever I'm doing when I pull them into the files. And then please, ladies and gentlemen, please, after you have put them on your computer, delete them off the hard drive.
Yeah.
Okay, because I made a 30-minute video one day. Well, actually, I got about 20 minutes in, and all of a sudden it stopped. It was because it was full, because the person in front of me didn't delete the files. And there's no way for me to know from the iPad that there's files there. So I would have had to think, oh, I better check to see if somebody deleted them, right? And so, but it won't tell you. And so then that will be a wasted presentation. Okay, does that make sense? All right, and then please clean it at the end. There's right here, there's spray and cloths. I prefer the terry cloth cloths for whatever reason. They decided not to have the terry cloth cloths. I've always read that paper on glass is worse than terry cloth, but here we are. And so, but when you clean it off, it looks better. Okay, and so there are two handouts that are posted in the Faculty Scholarship Center. This is the training manual that Lee and Sabrina put together. And then this is just a reminder of the one-click start. Okay, in case you need to refresh. So those are in the room. Okay, so the editing software that I use is Capcut. I asked our marketing department what was the best one. They said this is the best free software that they know of. You certainly can use any one that you want. And so that's a link to Capcut. So it comes up like this when you first log in. And I believe I've been able to tie it to my CSP account. I don't remember exactly, but it certainly, that is my CSP information. So I can't remember if it's specifically tied to the Google CSP or the Microsoft CSP, right? As all of those things go. All right. Oh, looks like CSP Google account. All right, and so then what I did is I downloaded the app onto my laptop. You can work in their cloud, but I've always found it easier because then I don't have to be hooked to the Wi-Fi to do editing. And so I just downloaded it as an app. All right, and so then the first thing you do is you click create this project. And then, oh, here's an aside. I just saw this. This was a brand new thing. It's called the AI fashion model. You get 4 free models that you can clothe any way you want. And so I took my tri-pie t-shirt and I said, put it on this typical student at Concordia. And now we have a tri-pie model shirt. I thought that was pretty cool,
So
right? It put in the wrinkles and everything. I mean,
where
that's
does that,
unbelievable.
you can insert that in your video? Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, you can even make it as a video, so they will take. So if I'm walking or whatever, and then you can put a different shirt on me and it will follow. It's unbelievable. What the AI can do. All right, you get 4 free of those. I digress. Okay, and so this is what it looks like. And so there's a whole bunch of editing things. You don't have to go crazy with this. Again, the main thing that I did on the first group of videos, when you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see that the first ones are fairly basic. All I did was cut off the ends so that you didn't see me going over there and hitting the iPad and saying, come on, stop, stop, stop. Okay, that's the only thing that I cut off. But then as I experimented, then I spliced things. I would do an Excel and I would pull the Excel down in the middle. And so I would move from the video to an Excel back to the video. And I was able to splice all those things together, put the stickers, put the comments, put music, all kinds of things that I was able to do. All right, and so then what you do is you drag or drop or just upload the videos. And so here was the video that I had today. And so you pop it in there, and then I will show you now what it looks like in the actual software. They have an absolute great website. So it's actually Capcut hired this person, and she has everything from very basic stuff to very advanced things. And so she talks about, okay, you can do this, but you have to pay for the pro version. You can do this without paying for the pro version. I don't have the pro version and I can do a lot of things. I accidentally downloaded a pro thing one time. And so then when I tried to download it, they said, would you like to use our free 7-day trial? And I said, no, I wouldn't. And so then I went and had to figure out what it was that it was downloading the pro. And I'll show you how that works. Okay. And then you move everything to your YouTube channel. So this is my YouTube channel. And so the first thing you do is you click the create button over here. And when you click the create button, oops, there was supposed to be something else. It got deleted. All right. Anyway, it shows you how to download something. And so then when you download it, I can show you this separately. So this is what comes up. You need to name it. You need to put a description on it. And then I like to add it to one of my playlists. I have my tutorial playlists. I have my different class playlists. And then this is the link that you will share with your students, either through D2L or the library took all of my videos and put them in Leganto. And so the students can go through along with the textbook links. And so they're always willing to do that. And so then you have to decide whether it is private, unlisted, or public. And so mostly what I do is I do the unlisted or the private generally. And so that just means that nobody can just find it through YouTube, because I haven't really had anybody peer review them or whatever. So I'm not ready for it to be shared throughout the whole internet. But when I share the link, anybody can watch it. Okay. And so I did make this one public just for fun to see if anybody actually ever watches it. All right. And so again, that's what we share. And so then this is what the studio page looks like. And so this is where you are the manager of your studio. And so these are the last few videos that I made. And so notice that I was working through my class, module 12, module 13, module 14, module 15, module 15 supplementary. So that's what I did back in June when I finished up the statistics. And then I just made this one, and notice that I have it listed as public, where these were all listed as unlisted. And so then you can see these are the number of times they've been watched by students in the online class, or some of the face-to-face class. Okay. All right. And so, forgot to do it. I meant to put the the link to my videos there, and then this is the link that for the video that we actually had today, if you're interested in that.